How's it going, everybody? This is Nathan at Kit and Equipment Company. We are Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky's 5-paw premier Kioti dealer. And I want to emphasize we are a Kioti dealer because when I do these comparison videos, I get some comments that are like, hey, this is from the perspective of a Kioti dealer. And yeah, that's literally who we are. We're a Kioti dealer. So today I've got one that is really, really cool. Before we kick off, I want to thank everybody. This is our first video in a cold January day early in 2024. 2023 was a great year for the channel and a great year for Kit and Equipment. We have done really great things with Kioti, but the channel's growing like crazy too. And if you guys are interested in more Kioti stuff, we have one of the largest Kioti YouTube channels now. Feel free to subscribe or like the video. And yeah, stay tuned for more Kioti stuff. We like to do model overviews and comparisons between Kioti and other brands. Interesting stuff. So today is one that I've wanted to do for a long time. When I get other people's, other manufacturers' tractors in, as long as they're current production and it's a fair comparison, I like to do a little overview of them versus what Kioti has to offer. And I had a guy come in, we're getting a lane shark installed on his Kubota, and this is a current production L3902. It's a 2022 model, so if you're looking at a brand new Kubota, compact 40 horse, this is the one you're gonna look at. And I've got the comparable Kiotis to go along with it. So I'd love to look at both of these things compared to each other. I've got some specs and some numbers and things to go over, and this will give you a good idea of what you're looking at when you're looking at these two models brand new. Kubota is obviously the market leader. If you look at the numbers, nationwide, Kubota sells more compact tractors than any other brand. But Kioti has had a great couple years in the last few years since pre-COVID, and they've officially taken third place. And I'll tell you, they're really, really close to second place. In our local market, we sell 40% of all tractors this size, and that's some months. It floated between 30 and 40% for the entire year of 2023. So almost half of all tractors, a third to a half this size, are Kiotis out in the field now. And that's not just us around. We have everybody. We have Kubota, we have John Deere, we have Massey and New Holland and Mahindra and Bad Boy, and I mean all the major players are in our area. And even so, tractors this size, 30 to 40% of all of them sold are Kioti now. So really crazy numbers, and I'd like to show you why. Nationally, we're still selling, obviously Kubota's still outselling Kioti. Kioti doesn't have nearly as much dealer presence, but as they continue to grow, if you have both dealers in your area, look at them, man. I mean, if you're looking at the market leader, there's a lot of reasons to not go with it. So yeah, hopefully this is an unbiased review. I've just got data and facts. Before you buy anything, sit on it yourself, price it yourself. The numbers we're talking about are going to be in our area only, But yeah, let's start. So I like to start from the front and go to the back. On the Kubota loader, the new L series, the 02 series, comes with an LA 526. It really is not that different than its predecessor, the 525, although I think you're going to see a lot more of them come standard with skid steer quick attach like this one did. So they have skid steer quick attach out of the box now. The grill guard is standard now with them. So when you're pricing these, this is the loader you're going to look at. Numbers on this loader: your lift capacity, there's two numbers, and I'll explain why. So at full height, and that's 94.8 inches, lift capacity on this is 1,144 pounds at pivot pin. Pivot pin is always here. And then they have a measurement, and this is the measurement that your metric countries use, Europe and Canada and wherever else, 1.5 meters. So lift capacity to 1.5 meters is about 59 to 60 inches. That is 1,506 pounds. So your Kioti, the KL4030C or KL4030, depending on where you're at, they also give a measurement to 1.5 meters. That is 1,835 pounds for the 4030, or a little over 1,900 pounds for the 4030C at 1.5 meters. So you're 400 and some odd pounds higher than your comparable Kubota loader on the Kioti. And then your full height is 98.4 inches. So you're almost 4 inches higher lift height, and you've got 300 or 400 pounds more lift capacity across the board. If we're looking at loader, you know, build and make, Kubota, they've got nice hard metal lines here. The fit and finish of the loader is nice. The one big complaint I would have is your grease fittings are still pretty basic. They're kind of hidden. So grease fitting there. There's to grease this pin down here. It's got to be accessed from underneath. So a little frustrating when you're trying to maintenance it. If you notice, all the Kioti pins are side access recessed grease fittings. So much easier to get to. Bucket level indicator comes standard on the Kioti bucket. The Kubota does not have one. That's an option. Your quick attach system is very similar on both. It works the same way, has a little spring down feet. And then probably the biggest complaint, if I was looking at the Kubota loader, the joystick, and this is kind of a basic rudimentary thing. It looks a little more complicated because we have the Lane Shark third function set up on this guy. But this is the factory joystick position. So it completely eliminates access from both sides of the tractor. I can only get on the driver's side. And your joystick is way up in the air, kind of sticking straight out. It's not nearly as clean. If we look at a Kioti joystick setup, the loader valve is mounted tractor side in the fender. So lines run in, quick attach is right here. They run underneath, and then your joystick is right on your right hand. So I have access to both sides. There's much more area here. And even if I put a third function on this, that box goes in underneath. So you still have plenty of access under, you know, on both sides. Much more ergonomic. So joystick position on the loader is, that's kind of a thing Kubota's done on their economy tractors for years, but it could be better. So lift capacity on the Kioti wins. Joystick position ergonomics wins. Fit and finish, I'd say, is the same. I mean, look at them for yourself, but the loader make is pretty nice on both of them. So as far as specs overall, these are both the 40 horsepower variants, although the 3902 actually posted horsepower is a little bit off. They are looking at 37.5 horse at the engine and about 30.3 at the PTO on the hydrostat model. Your Kioti is 39.6 horsepower at the engine, 33.3 at the PTO. So you've got 2 or 3 extra horsepower for when you need it on the comparable model. Total weight across the board, and these are posted weights that, you know, you assume the loader weight. So basically I take the tractor weight, I take the loader weight posted, and then the tires are the same size on both of them. So this is ag tires, but imagine it with industrials. I use the same tire size on both. You're gonna end up a couple 100 pounds more on the Kioti. So 3583 pounds on the Kubota loaded, 3715 on the Kioti loaded. So a couple 100 more pounds of tractor weight, couple 100 more pounds of lift capacity, front and rear. Your rear lift, and this is 24 inches off ball ends, on the Kubota is 1,435 pounds. On the Kioti, it is 1,631 pounds. So a couple 100 more pounds front lift, couple 100 more pounds rear lift, couple 100 more pounds tractor weight, a little bit more dimensionally larger. You know, it starts to add up as we continue to go through it. So specs, lift capacities, I think if you look at the engines themselves are very similar, actually. Very similar displacement, very similar emission system. They both use a modern DPF system. Maintenance access, if we want to get into it, it's pretty similar. I'd say, oh, got to open the grill guard. Let's get that out of the way. So grill guard folds open, pull that there, hood pops up. So the one complaint I would have is you have these little plastic guys here, which are nice for being a guard, but if I want to get in there and access that, that has to move out of the way. If you look at the Kioti, open similarly, but they have a lot more room because that plastic guard's not on the way. So if you're really beating on the thing, and you might need that guard there. I've never had anybody that's had an issue, and trust me, people use these things like bulldozers. I've never had anybody with an issue, you know, damaging any of this stuff, but when I need to maintenance it, this is way more accessible. But stuff's in the same position. Engine oil filter, fuel filter, fuses, pretty similar layout underneath. So both have very modern engines, both cold start well. I started them both here. It's probably 20 degrees today. And I drove them all down here, and they both cold start fine with their modern diesels. So very comparable. I think where we're going to see the most difference is, especially for the money, is operator station and standard features. So the if you're sitting on both of these, Kubota, they make a more base model and they make a more deluxe model, right? You've got an L series, you've got a Grand L series. If we're talking about dollars versus dollars, what you can get for your money, the Grand L series isn't even in the conversation. It's so prohibitively expensive that it's way up there. It's a really nice tractor, don't get me wrong, but it's way up there in money. If we compare prices for this locally, the L3902, I can sell you a CK4020 SE hydrostat, the nicer version of the Kioti, for the same price. Or you can save some money and get the base model. The base model, and this one's a gear drive, but the base model, you still have a full suspension seat, you still have a nice loader mounted or tractor mounted loader valve. Pretty rudimentary. You still have a nice open operator station, just a little hump in the middle, and you can access both sides. But for the same money, you can get the SE, and the SE from the Kioti is absolutely loaded. If we're sitting on both, we'll start on, actually, let's start on the Kubota. As we climb up here, you've got one step, and I do want to point this out. The way they have this made, this floorboard, they've added deck mats this year, which is nice, but it's mounted on the side. It bolts in, instead of being one solid piece, it bolts in on the side. So it has a lot of flex. I mean, I'm not light, I'm 250, but even so, as I just put my foot on this thing, the whole fender flexes. So climb up. When we sit down here, they did add a suspension seat, so that's a little nicer than it used to be. I have to kind of find my foot in here because it's got a treadle pedal for the hydrostat. So we get in and we're in. Not bad. Brakes on the left, pedals on the right, treadle pedal sit up. And that pedal, that's a personal preference. You know, you've got some people like that. I prefer the side-by-side because I've got pretty big feet. That's going to be up to you to decide. Sit on both and feel them out. As we get on here, steering is fixed. All you got controls here in the operator station. That's pretty normal. High, medium, low range is easy access. They have a cruise control option, but that's not installed on this. That's additional money. I do not like this big hump in the middle. That's a little annoying. I feel like it's easy to trip getting on and off of this thing. I don't feel like I have nearly as much leg room. My knees are almost touching the steering wheel when I'm on this pedal. And then you've got your 3-point hitch and you've got your PTO. They have added push button independent PTO this year. So that is a nice feature compared to the old style. Cup holder, fender, yeah, pretty simple. I mean, it's a basic economy tractor. When we're sitting on this thing, the loader valve is right on your right hand. It's easy access, but it's right there. If I was a bigger guy, I think I'd have that in my belly, you know? I'd be trying to use it right here. So something to look at when you're looking at them, but that loader valve is definitely more of an economy setup. Also, my fuel tank is hood mounted on the Kubota. On the Kioti, it is mounted in the back fender. So I shouldn't say the back fender, behind the rear fenders, behind the back seat. So that's personal preference. I prefer it back here, so I'm not reaching over the hood with a 5-gallon can trying to fill it. But, you know, personal preference. Fuel tank capacity, they're actually very similar. The Kubota has more, 11.1 gallons, and the Kioti has 9.6. So Kubota actually does win out in fuel capacity. As we sit on the Kioti, and again, this is the SE model, so a base model is going to sit the same, but this has a lot more going on. The SE comes with the deck mat and mirrors and armrests and a bunch of stuff. But look, we can get on, not nearly as much flex on the system because it's a solid sheet here. I have way more room. Trying to jump across here, my foot is really easy jumping across. And then as I'm sitting on this, I can move my legs around. So the brakes on the right on the Kioti, you don't get split brakes on these models until you get up to the bigger ones. I think you'll find both of these tractors turn so well that you very rarely use split brakes anymore, but the Kubota does have them, Kioti does not. And then you got your nice side-by-side pedal setup. So that is, in my opinion, way more comfortable. The loader valve is right here in your right hand. You have way more visibility over here because all that junk's not in the way. And we can sit on that one with the loader on it as well, and you can see how that looks. push button PTO, 3-point hitch. The SE model comes with standard tilt steering. It comes with cruise control. It comes with a linked pedal to link the hydrostat to the RPM. It comes with 2 separate sets of rear hydraulic remotes. I mean, it is completely loaded. It comes with the fancy 3-point hitch with the pin type check chains and the extendable links. Toolbox comes standard. So this has a lot of standard equipment. Everything you see on here is standard, as opposed to options that you'll see on more economy models. So yeah, here's your 2 sets of rear remotes on the back. So I want to point this and make sure this is clear. From me at Kitten Equipment, a CK4010 SE hydrostat with all these standard features and a loader, obviously, can be bought for the same price roughly as a L3902 Kubota. And that is probably the biggest difference. The biggest thing you should look at when you're looking at them is their economy model is the same price as Kioti's very deluxe model. And that is very important. Hoods on them are the same. They've both got LED headlights now, so when you're looking at them, it's very similar. Let's sit on this CK so you can see visibility. This is a base CK, so we don't have a deck mat, but it sits the same. It's a gear drive, so the brake's on the right. But when I'm looking over here, you see all that? I can see that front right tire pretty easily. Let's climb back on here. Ugh. So, Grant, he has a third function, so that, you know, that's not factory, but this guy is definitely in a different spot. So again, I would encourage you, sit on both of them, do your research, look at them. There is a reason that 40% of all the tractors this size sold in my area come from Kitten Equipment. It is pretty amazing numbers when you start to look at them. But yeah, this is a quick walkover of them. The benefits that the Kubota has, you know, if it wins out, again, it's got the split brake standard. I would say one thing when you're looking at them, I want to show you this. The Kubota does this really well. I'm going to start this. I have to let it heat up. Their loader valve has a little bit more control. So when we raise this loader, you can curl and lift and dump and lift. You can find those positions a lot easier. The way their loader valve is made, inside, it gives you a little bit more, what's the right word, featherability when you're dealing with trying to get those multiple positions at once. If we run the Kioti, they make it a little more difficult. And if there's anybody from Kioti watching, that's one of the biggest complaints we'll get if you compare them. Same deal, we have to let this guy preheat. You get to hear him idle too. The Kioti's actually a little bit quieter. So when we're raising this loader, you can find those dual positions, but it's a little bit more feathered. You have to kind of give it a little bit more finesse when you're doing both positions at once. So again, that's something for you to look at. I would encourage you, drive them both, look at them both in good detail. Warranty's the same on these things. Dealer support, that's all going to depend on your individual dealer, but Kioti makes their own stuff from the ground up, so your part support's very similar. So it's a really good comparison. So as you're looking at these things in person, drive them, test them yourself. I always emphasize that, test them yourself. If you're curious about pricing, visit our website. We post all of our prices. You can build out a Kioti however you'd like. We have this on the builder. So that is www.kittenequipment.com. If you're curious about any, you know, pricing or want to get a quote on one, call us at 859-356-9091. We also have a dry ridge store. They have their own information. And then look for your own dealer. I'm going to post the Kioti Find a Dealer link in the description below. You know, call your local dealer, price one of these out. Call your Kubota dealer, price one of these out. Hopefully that gives you some good information. So I appreciate you guys for listening to me babble here in this cold weather. Subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to hit 5,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I appreciate it. So thanks.